Endless War, Act 3, page 82 to 99. Oceans apart. Upon Hanuman's return, Rama's spirits soared with the news of Sita's discovery. The Vanara reported every detail of his adventure, telling the prince of all the things he had observed during his trip to Ravana's capital city. While he spoke, a faint trail of black smoke lingered over the horizon, evidence of Hanuman's fiery escape from Lanka. King Sugriva informed Rama that their army could commence the march toward Lanka immediately. Rama and Lakshman led the procession, relieved to finally be on their way to free Sita. But when the great army reached the shoreline of South India, they were unexpectedly stalled by the vast salty ocean. It turned out that none of the animals could swim, and from where they stood, the island of Lanka seemed to be another world away. Stymied by yet another roadblock, Rama fasted and prayed for a solution, all to no avail. Eventually, he grew angry and began to shoot fiery arrows into the waves, threatening to burn up the entire ocean so his army could cross. Fearing the blue warrior's wrath, the ocean diva Varuna emerged from his watery home and approached the shore. He explained that as much as he would love to help, it was impossible for him to part the waters, for even he, a mighty diva, was a slave to Ravana. Luckily, Jambavan was very clever and figured out a solution to the problem. The bear remembered that if a god's name was written on a stone, it would float. After trying several names on stones that sank, Hanuman tried Rama's name, and to everyone's surprise, the stone floated. Sugriva and Jambavan were thrilled and ordered their tribe to begin building a bridge of stones with Rama's name written on them. The entire army of Vanaras and bears gathered up every pebble, rock, and boulder from the beach and set them upon the ocean. It was as if an entire section of the mainland had been stretched out into the sea. For 5 days, the animals worked non-stop to build what came to be known as the Great Bridge of Rama. Five really long days. Battle of Lanka. Once the bridge was complete, Rama's army marched across it to the island of Lanka. At the gates of Ravana's capital city stood the imperial demon army equipped and ready for war. In keeping with the rules of engagement, Rama dispatched a final messenger to ask Ravana to release Sita and avoid war and bloodshed. But the demon king laughed off the request, declaring that the only thing Rama would gain from Lanka was his own death. Having no further choice, Rama instructed his army to make themselves ready for an attack. The bears uprooted trees and boulders, while the Vanaras tore down branches and gathered stones, making weapons with whatever might crack a Rakshasa skull. The jungle army stood ready to attack Rama's signal. at Rama's signal. The blue warrior waited for the auspicious moment when the sun reached its zenith in the sky. The demon army, being creatures of darkness and gloom, would be at their weakest during this hour. As the sun finally reached its highest point in the sky, Rama issued the order to attack. A deafening roar erupted from the charging Vanaras and bears as they surged toward the hordes of demons, who responded in kind, blowing their horns and conchs. The rancor was terrible as the armies thundered toward each other. Evil arrows. Before long, it became clear that the monkeys and bears were more than worthy opponents. The animals shattered, squashed, and ripped apart their enemies. Noticing their ranks dwindling far faster than they had ever seen, the demons turned to sorcery and began firing magic arrows that transformed into deadly snakes. The tide seemed to turn as Rama's warriors began dying by the hundreds. But then Lakshman picked up one of the snake arrows and fired it back at the demon army. As it shot through the air, it transformed into an eagle who screeched down upon the mass of snakes and began ripping the serpents to shreds. Soon the sky was filled with arrows turned eagles, and the reptile menace was annihilated. Ravana's own sons, brothers, and best generals led ferocious attacks against Rama's army, but one by one they were all defeated. The war seemed to be tipping in Rama's favor until the Demon King decided to take matters into his own hands.